guess they can say all they want. Who cares now? Who cares now? Yeah, who cares if we win it all? You scared, then pass me the ball. If you scared now, and I won't even overthink it. I'm about to be what I wanna be. Go tell everybody that you wanted me. It's okay now. I don't care.
What's up, guys? How's it going? This is Joe Yelgi here with another YouTube channel. Got my new Rode mic. I'm gonna clip this on for y'all. Should hear me pretty well. It looks okay. Today I want to talk about analog hardware a little bit and how it's probably not going to fix the problems that you're having in your mix and your masters, because you should be able to make your mix and masters sound, completely industry competitive and radio ready in the box. You should be able to make them sound completely professional in the box in your laptop without any hardware. Now I have the Manley Reference C microphone, high-end microphone, so obviously having a high-end microphone works. But I recently got the BAE 1073, if you can see it over here, BAE 1073 and the new Warm Audio TubeTech clone, which is a nice pairing. It's basically like a budget industry-ready pairing with my Manley Reference C. And in getting the preamp and the compressor, obviously there's an experimentation phase of learning it and playing with it, but in getting it, I'm realizing this didn't solve a problem that I necessarily had. This didn't fix any issues. This just fattened things up just a little. And analog hardware does not make things sound 20 to 30 to 40% better. It makes it sound like 5% better. You understand what I'm saying? 5% better, not 40% better. So I was on Facebook group talking with someone who made a post and talking about buying what is the cheapest analog gear that they could buy, was basically the question. I'm gonna tell y'all, you do not want cheap analog gear. It will sound like garbage. A $300 plugin has so much more value than a $200 to $300 piece of analog hardware. And if it's like a $800 500 series, you can see it, my 500 series box right here, $800 500 series piece, and you're getting it used for $300 $400, okay, cool. But don't go for cheap analog stuff thinking you're gonna get something special, because you're not. It's gonna make it sound worse. Really good analog stuff costs thousands of dollars. $4,000 compressor. This preamp is $1,400, but it's just a preamp. It's not an EQ, it's not two channels, it's one channel preamp, $1,400. That makes sense. So 3 reasons, more than likely, are gonna be why your stuff doesn't sound radio ready now without the hardware, because you think, oh, once I get hardware, once I get a preamp, once I get a compressor, once I get an EQ, once I get that stereo compressor, once I get the high-end converters, whatever, once you get it. There is no once you get anything. There's no once you get any item, everything's gonna magically fall together. That's not real. That doesn't exist. It's not gonna sound industry competitive just because you get one more piece. That's not happening. So it's probably because of these couple reasons. 1, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how compressors work. You don't know how EQs work. You don't know how saturation works. You don't know how to blend reverbs. 2, you don't have gear that you can actually trust, and you're spending your money in the wrong places. So you're trying to use a $300 pair of KRKs, but then you're gonna wanna spend $500 on this piece of analog gear, this guitar pedal, this guitar pedal, this guitar pedal, this piece of crap EQ that costs you $300 for a 19-inch EQ. I'm sorry, it's probably not going to be that good. Whatever DBX, whatever Alyssa's, you're going to try to buy a bunch of really inexpensive, cheap hardware, thinking it's going to do something for you. It's not. It is. It's going to make it probably sound worse. But because it has analog touching it, you're going to convince yourself that it sounds better. There are guys who are audio engineers in their basement for 50 years. You could go listen to their stuff and it sounds like crap. How is that? How is it that they've been doing it for years and it still sounds bad? They have all this analog gear, all this analog hardware. How does it sound bad? It's because they're buying cheap analog gear that might as well not even be worth having. And they're sticking to a pair of M Audios, Mackeys, or really inexpensive KRKs. If you would take all that money that you would spend on hardware and spend it on a really good microphone and really good speakers, 90% of your problems would be fixed. The other 10% would be you just knowing what you're doing. Really, really basic skills. So one, you're not sure what you're doing. Compressors, EQs, reverbs, delays, it's still foreign to you. Two, you're spending money in the wrong places. You think buying cheap hardware is going to make your stuff sound better rather than just investing in a really nice pair of monitors like the Genelex. And the Yamaha HS series is still fire too. So investing your money in the wrong places. Or three, the saddest one, is your taste. You've been listening to a very small amount of music for a very long time, and you don't actually have that good of taste. And I hate to say that because that's so subjective, right? Like, it's subjective whether or not someone's taste is good. But some people have objectively good taste. You go talk about Jason Joshua's taste. Pretty good taste. Miley Cyrus, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Justin Bieber making their stuff sound the highest quality. Alex Tomei, 21 Savage, Travis Scott, Drake's most recent, one of Young Thug's main audio engineers. Pretty good taste. Your stuff doesn't sound great and you've been doing it for how long? It might be an issue with taste. And that's going to be the one that's most difficult to fix. So I'm making this video because as I've gotten this preamp and compressor, I hear what it's doing and I'm hearing the 5%. But as I'm sitting with it, I'm like, wow, my stuff already sounded good. So I'm sitting here confident, not trying to be pretentious. I'm sitting here confident saying my stuff already sounded radio ready and I can provide files to whoever before any hardware. How is that? Because basic skills, I might have good taste, and I invested money in the right places. High-end microphone with good speakers. Prioritize those things over everything else. Start getting really good plugins. If you look at top mixing engineers like Jason Joshua or even Andrew Shebs, who says that he mixes completely in the box, which means he's completely in his computer mixing some of the biggest records and getting paid thousands of dollars for them. But you look at their plugin chain and what do you see? $200 plugin, $150 plugin, another $200 plugin, another $150 plugin, and maybe some Waves plugins that are $30 each. But you're so fixated on having analog hardware because you're so obsessed with things sounding warm, even though it's really just going to make it sound muddy and dull. You're so obsessed with this that you spend all your money on really, really cheap analog hardware and not good speakers. You spend all your money on really cheap analog hardware and not a good microphone. And you listen to one genre of music. You're so hip-hop based. You're so trap music based that you don't listen to anything else except maybe a little R&B. And you think your stuff's going to sound the best in the world? You're so rock music based that all you listen to is divorced dad 90s rock. And you think your stuff's going to sound the best in the world? There are people that are music people that listen to like freaking 6 genres of music in a day, go on binges of different genres, go back and then make a modern song. They're coming with years and years of taste. So listen to more music. Listen to why your favorite music is your favorite music. Understand you might be spending your money in the wrong places. And you might have to go down to basic skills. Do you know what a release does on a compressor? Do you know what an attack does? Do you know what a threshold does? If I put the attack super slow and super fast, could you describe to me what that's gonna sound like? If you can't, stop spending money and go open up the stock compressor and literally just play with it. And play with a reverb and a delay. Play with really, really simple things. Go back to things you had that are older, some of your old stuff, and do some of your new techniques on it and see how much better you can make it sound. Because you should be able to make it sound much better. And I'm rambling, but I'm making this video because I can't stand seeing people going after really inexpensive analog hardware. It's not gonna fix your problem. It's gonna make you feel cooler. It's gonna make you feel like, I really do this. I have hardware. And that the kid who has whatever speakers in whatever room that's not treated sounds better than yours because he has good taste or she has good taste. So obviously you're focused on the wrong. Clearly. And nothing more annoying than seeing someone who says, oh, I'm an audio engineer, I've been doing it for this many years. I'll be like, yeah, let me hear your stuff. Where's the speaker? You got a speaker around? Yeah, here. Connect, push play. I'm really curious. I want to hear what it sounds like. And then I'll play my stuff and it sounds completely ready. Or someone else can play their stuff and it sounds completely ready. That's crazy, bro. How have you been doing it for this long? And this is your studio. You have all this hardware, all this really cheap hardware. How is your stuff not better than mine? It doesn't make any sense. I'm rambling, but it doesn't make any sense. It's because you spend your money in the wrong places. Take all the money you spend on that cheap crap and spend it on a pair of $1,500 studio monitors so you can hear what you're doing and listen to more music and be more objective. I don't want to say someone's taste can't get better, but work on your taste. Work on your taste, work on basic skills, and understand that buying analog hardware isn't going to magically solve your problems. And you're going to be so mad when you spend the money and it doesn't solve your problems. You're like, yo, I spent money on you. Why doesn't my stuff sound better? Or it sounds 3% better, 4%. I mean, it sounds a tiny bit better. It sounds better to the point where if you played it with or without it, to an average ear, they almost couldn't even tell. They wouldn't be able to tell. It's there. A bunch of engineers could be like, nah, I hear it, but they couldn't hear it. So, yeah, no. Analog hardware is not gonna solve your problem. It's not gonna make you happy unless your stuff already sounds good enough to be on the radio. If you could play your stuff and you listen to Drake, Kendrick Lamar, whatever rock band, Blink-182, Valhalla, Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, it sounds like almost on that level, if not on that level. Well, if it already sounds on that level, then yeah, getting hardware, it'll make it sound a couple percentage better. Those frequencies will just sit next to each other just a little bit better because they're gonna be a little bit softer, and they're gonna connect just a little bit better. But they should have already been a little bit connected. It's not gonna magically make things better. So yeah, analog hardware, it's not gonna magically make your stuff better. Do not spend money on cheap hardware. Spend it on expensive plugins. And if you feel like spending 300 here, 300 here, 300 here, 300 here, how about you just save up and buy a really nice pair of speakers? That's gonna solve most of your problems. And instead of buying an MXL microphone or a really cheap Rode microphone, but you wanna get this preamp and this compressor and this EQ, how about you just buy a really nice microphone? Because there's a good chance you spend all this money, things don't sound better. You keep blaming the gear when really it's you. You keep blaming whatever you want to blame, but you don't have basic skills that you could get after watching YouTube and digesting hours and hours of YouTube. And you need to work on your taste because you listen to the same crap every day. And your perspective with sound and music is like this tiny perspective. Yeah, so don't spend money on cheap hardware. Hardware is not going to make your music automatically sound better. You knowing what you're doing is going to make it sound better, and you should be confident enough to show people how things sound as an audio engineer and music producer completely in the box. In 2025, completely in the box. you should be confident enough to show your stuff. If not, stop thinking hardware is going to make it better. Thank you for my rant. Go check out the rest of my videos.